It's time to review Power Girl #1, Leah Williams, Eduardo Pansica on this one. We were dared to review this from Lane Kramer. He's been thinking about it for about a quarter of a year now, I think 3 months leading up to this. And while it's not quite as bad as some of the things that I've read lately, it's certainly not good. But it probably is the best Leah Williams comic book I've read, perhaps in my life, because I never read Amazing Mary Jane, Doc.
But yeah, everything else I've read by her was completely unreadable tripe. This one was, I don't know, merely bland.
Well, I mean, there's action in it, which almost, well, it doesn't save the comic book, but it makes it not nearly as bad to read. But it does appear that we've got a Power Girl problem here, Doc. She seems to be mixing up pre-crisis Power Girl and New 52 Power Girl, and you can kind of see it in the introduction. I know you had some mistakes that you pointed out, and you're not even a Power Girl fan. But, you know, her name is Karen Starr. Now she's paid something or other, even though in the JSA right now she's Karen Starr. And for some reason now she's on the Superman family, even though she's always been a JSA character. Like, nothing makes sense. But I don't think this is really Power Girl. I think this is Leah Williams' version of Power Girl with smaller boobs. They nerfed the chest. They nerfed the jugs, Doc. That's not cool.
There was a lot of other problems here, as you pointed out. But like whenever they did, like just on the intro page where they're introducing the character, the little caption block that explains who Power Girl is, it didn't even really make sense. It says that she was sent as an infant, but also that she was sent to protect, Kal-El. So how does an infant protect another infant? They couldn't even figure out which version of the character this is going to be. So they just kind of mixed and matched, and they picked the least coherent mishmash of characteristics possible. I didn't understand it.
Absolutely. Now let's get to this, Doc, because there's some weird portrayal of the character. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Power Girl, but she's always been like a really strong, bright, independent woman. That's kind of the way that she's always been portrayed. Here, she apparently has imposter syndrome, which is something that was more related to Carol Danvers back in the day. It's like she's a completely different character associated with the Superman family because she works for Steelworks now. And I guess now that she's a leader of this company, she decided to go and buy alien technology on the black market and then have an auction on a boat. Yet everyone knows that everyone that hates aliens is picketing the boat and everything, and they're just inviting all these people they've never heard of. They don't even know who they are. Into there, they've got weapons and stuff, even though they haven't been vetted properly, so they can go and bid on these alien technologies. I cannot believe that Superman would allow this.
This is about the most harebrained bullshit idea I have ever heard here. I'm going to go get from a space black market smuggler a bunch of alien tech that I'm not sure what it does. Her payment for it from buying it off of this smuggler was an undetermined favor, just a blank check to an alien smuggler. I'm sure that's going to work out real fucking well, just so that she could put a bunch of unknown alien technology up for bid for charity auction to fund Steelworks.
We do see this guy. I think he's a new villain. His name is Amalak. He's there. His eyes are, shining green. Security never stops him. He has his own security with their own weapons. It turns out that they're all aliens and they're going to destroy stuff. And now all of a sudden, Power Girl's got a jacket with the Superman logos on it, so people that know that she's associated with that character or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, you're Kryptonian. Kryptonians destroyed my world." And then he accused them of colonizers. They're colonizers now, despite the fact that her entire world's destroyed and she's the lone survivor. She's the fucking colonizer. And I was like, God, I fucking hate this world.
First of all, you had a villain that has bright red skin, like fire engine red skin, long hair, glowing green eyes. You didn't think that guy was probably going to be a problem? Somehow she managed to have that whole costume available for her underneath her dress that she had to make a big point out of setting on fire.
Like, why would you change at the middle of the party? Everyone's going to see you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she just made a point of being like, I have a human alter identity, or, alter ego that's my secret identity. And then you're going to blow it by changing into your Power Girl costume in the middle of the fucking party. You don't need an alter ego. You just suck at this.
And it gets kind of weird here because he's got a gun. He has a weapon that can hurt Kryptonians. And she's like, "Oh my goodness, you're hurting me. How do you do it?" He's like, "Well, I have this gun." nothing changes from that moment on. He does, I guess they do go up to like a spaceship that I wasn't aware was there, but there's a spaceship up there and they continue fighting. He still has the gun and still has the technology to hurt Kryptonians, but he stops using it so she can beat him up and he can fall off and land on another invisible spaceship or something.
Leah, girl, you don't know how to write conflict. You don't know how to end a fight. Like, if you have a tool that can hurt Kryptonians, she has to escape. She has to be the one that runs away, not the villain.
But we did get a really good joke about, did anyone feed the cat while they're in the middle of the big conflict with the guy that can actually hurt her because he has a weapon that's really dangerous. So that really sold that villain.
You know the best way to make a scene have gravitas? Interject a cat joke.
I still don't know what to think of this. As this dude, Amalok, is flying away, he's like, that's not actually a spaceship. And then she could hear a digital bomb clicking, like it had a clock associated with it. And it turns out he used this enormous spaceship to disguise the fact that it had a tiny bomb in the middle. And she had to fly through the center of the ship to get to the tiny bomb that likely would have been contained simply by being on the ship.
I got no fucking clue what kind of logic this chick is going for here. Like,
why would you build a spaceship for like $10 billion so you could hide a bomb on it?
Wouldn't even like destroy Metropolis. It'd just like blow up the dock and kill the people on that yacht. That's a pretty.
I just think it would have hurt the ship. I don't think it would have escaped. I don't think it's powerful enough. It's like that ship is enormous.
I don't get it either. None of it makes sense.
Do you know that she had a new power? That's basically she has America Chavez's power. She can punch portals now.
Yeah, I heard that they were doing that, and then whenever they just randomly did it from like.
All right, so Doc, let me get my head around this one. You have the ability to punch portals anywhere. Just to go there, you have a bomb tucked underneath your arm. You need to dispose of this bomb safely so no one gets hurt. So she actually decides to teleport down to the trench, like in the ocean where the bad guys of Aquaman are, to explode it there instead of like, I don't know, the outback, on the moon, in space. Have you ever seen an actual underwater nuclear explosion? You know, they have the test footage of it. It's worse than the ones that are in the sky.
Yeah.
It's so destructive.
Yeah, and it just kind of goes and it radiates in every direction. It just destroys underwater ecosystems for miles in every direction. Look, if you want to establish her as a completely incompetent buffoon, you did.
Just go into space.
Yeah, throw it into space.
You don't go a ways away and hope that the MP doesn't wipe out all the satellites. I get that, but
yeah, like punch that portal right into the center of the fucking sun and drop it in there. Who cares?
Well, if it's like a an America Chavez portal, once you open the portal, things start coming through on either side. So if you did it in the sun, you would start burning up the earth.
Yeah.
Also, because she did it in water, she should have started drowning people.
Yeah.
You know what the weird part is? These action scenes that we've been talking about that aren't very good are the saving grace of the comic book and make it probably the best thing she's ever written.
Yeah. And
honestly, it wasn't boring and completely stupid. It was just completely stupid.
Yeah, it wasn't boring. It was just stupid. She's incompetent and Superman is playing daddy to her.
Well, Doc, let's get to that point because you and I are both disappointed in her idea of what being a hero is, murdering a bunch of sea creatures. And in fact, there are sentient beings in the ocean here in the DC universe and probably murdering a lot of them. We are not the only ones. We do have Superman, who does have a pretty decent-sized bulge on it in this one, so I'll give the artist that. And he's also very disappointed in Power Girl, and I felt like I had read this scene before, recently in Fire and Ice, Welcome to Smallville.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same thing. Is that all that Superman exists for now? To show up and scold women when they do things wrong? That is the character that Superman's going to be, and it's their way of creating him to be completely toxic masculinity so that they can then get rid of him because he's a symbol of toxic masculinity.
Well, the problem is he's always right.
Yeah, he is.
These heroes are dipshits, and they do deserve a dressing down from Superman.
Put the reasonable behavior in the mouth of this guy so that you can then paint it as toxic masculinity. And at the same time, I'm sitting there going like, where the fuck were you 20 pages ago when you found out that she was selling fucking alien technology to anybody that just had enough money for it. You don't think that would have been a problem that you probably should have
prevented? For charity, Doc.
I don't give a shit what it was for. What? I mean, the only way that this makes sense is if he was planning to steal it back afterwards. And then you just turn Superman into a thief. So
you mentioned there's a virus. What's going on with this virus, Doc? I'd love to hear your explanation.
Okay. So it's a Kryptonian virus that somehow only affects humans, but it's not from this Earth's Krypton. It's from PowerGirl's Krypton that hasn't existed. So what did it like piggyback in off of her?
The weird thing about this, Doc, is it appears that this is a biological weapon. Well, it was fabricated and created by the Kryptonians to destroy humans, but when you read the origin of Superman and Power Girl and these other characters, the Kryptonians are aware that Earth is there, but they don't really know anything about it.
Yeah, they just they're like, well, it's a habitable planet. Fuck it, shoot them there.
There are people there.
There's people there.
But they decided to make up some weapons to go and wipe out humans.
Yeah, because why not? I mean, that's what I do every time.
Fucking colonizers, that's why, Doc.
Yeah, because colonizers, bad people, blah, blah, blah. Cliche, lefty, weirdo soundbite of the week. Anytime I encounter a new species, is immediately come up with a way to nuke it before I say hello.
Well, yeah, but they haven't encountered humans. That's my point.
Yeah.
Why would you have created a virus for something you've never studied and you don't even know how it works?
It doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't.
No,
it doesn't. There's
no
like logic.
This because Leah Williams is dumb.
Stop making people that are idiots write scientists. That's what I'm coming to the conclusion of.
But this is not this is a good outing by Leah Williams standards. But as just like a comic book itself, it's not a good outing. I would give it I'll give it a 3.5 out of 10. We're looking at 1 3/4 stars out of 5 because the art is admittedly good.
Yeah, the art is pretty good. I was gonna go 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, but yeah, I mean, you're fine. I've read significantly worse by Leah Williams. It wasn't completely unreadable trash, but if you try to think about it for more than about 3 seconds on any of the plot points, your head will hurt because it doesn't fucking make any sense.
The fact that DC Comics ever thought hiring Leah Williams to be a full-time comic book writer on their line was a good idea just tells you what's wrong with comic books itself. Basically led by Leah Williams and Titty Howard and Vita Ayala and Jerry Duggan and their terrible editorial staff, the X-Men line, the entire line basically became queer fanfic, and she was at the forefront of that, and DC decided to import that into their line, and they're seeing the fallout. There's also a link in the video description.